Hey everybody, how are you doing today? I'm Miss Carmen and I'm here to tell you what to do for your science center of the day. So, the materials you will be needing are your notebook, your pencil, your color pencils, and also your graph. The graph that you've been working on for these couple weeks. Are you ready? We're going to be learning about a new habitat today. Do you have any ideas? What is it about? Yeah, we're going to be talking about coral reefs. Are you ready? Let's go. So, as I told you before, today we're learning about coral reefs. What do you know about coral reefs? Have you seen one? Where? Okay, think about that and I will show you some pictures about the coral reefs. What do you think they're made of? What kind of fish you can find? In which places around the world you can find coral reefs? Are they different kinds of coral reefs? Well, today we will learn a little bit more about them. What are we going to learn today? We're going to know what coral reefs are. And then we're going to talk about the weather in the coral reefs. We're also going to talk about what kind of animals you can find and the plants that lives in there. Are you ready? Okay. Remember to take your notes in your notebook and you can pause this video at any time. So we're going to start by talking about what is a coral reef. As I asked you before, I want to tell you that coral reefs might look like a bunch of rocks, but they're actually little animals. Did you know that? Their name are polyps. And here you can see a little bit about the polyps. There are many different kinds of polyps around the coral reefs. Polyps live in the outside of the reef. As they die, they become hard and new polyps grow on top of them, causing the reef to grow. Coral reefs eat small animals called plankton and algae. Have you heard about plankton? Have you heard the word algae? Well, algae needs the sun for the photosynthesis. Therefore, reefs forms close to the surface of the water and in clear water. In this map, you can find the coral reefs around the world. If you can see, you find them kind of in the middle, near the equator. Can you see? All these red dots is where you can find the most coral reefs. Now we're going to talk about the weather in the coral reefs. Are you ready? So, what do you think is the weather like? Is the water hot or is the water cold? What do you think it should be? Well, the water temperature of 20 to 28 degrees is the optimal range for a proper growth and health of the coral reefs. Coral reefs are found in all oceans of the world, except for the Arctic Ocean, just like the grasslands. You cannot find them in the Arctic. So, generally between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, because reef-building corals live in these waters. There are many different kinds of reefs, and we're going to be talking about them. One kind you can find are the fringing reefs. These reefs are standing directly out from the shoreline and more or less following the trend of the shore. Another kind you can find are the barrier reefs. These reefs are separated from the mainland or island shore by a lagoon. Another kind you can find are the atoll reefs. It is more or less like a circular or continuous barrier of reef surrounding a lagoon without a central island. You can see the pictures in here, so you can take a look at how they look like. Another kind of reefs are the patch reefs. These are isolated, often circular reefs, and they usually within a lagoon or embayment. Another kind are the apron reefs. These are short reefs resembling a frightened reef, but more sloped. They're extending out and downward from a point or peninsular shore. Another kind are the table reefs. These are isolated kind of reefs. They're approaching on an atoll type, but without the lagoon. This kind of reef is called a ribbon reef. These are long and narrow and somewhat windy reef. They usually are associated with an atoll lagoon. Now we're going to be talking about the animals you can find in the coral reefs. All sorts of animals, they live around the reefs. They also very different kinds of corals as well. This, for example, is a star coral. Can you see how it moves? It's eating all the time and filtering the water. These are the brain corals. Look at those. Yes, those are funny, right? They look like brains. You can also find finger corals. You know why, right? What do they look like? Yes, they look like fingers. Or column corals. These are very tall and they can be very, very big corals. Many animals attach themselves to the reefs, like sponges that we've been talking about in the past, remember? And the starfish. Oh, look at these ones. They can move around and they get attached to the corals. We can also find clams. Remember when we talked about them? Some clams can be so big that people can fit inside. We also have anemones. They can also move. Can you see this one? These are pretty funny. There are lots of fish swimming, such as cuttlefish. Look how they change the color so they can camouflage for their predators not to see them. And these ones, these are the sharks. You can also find eels and pufferfish. Remember the pufferfish? We talked about them in the past. How they can go big. Yeah, those are pretty fun, right? Okay. You can also find clownfish. Yes, you know these ones, right? Have you watched Nemo? Yes, in Finding Nemo, you can find a lot of these animals because it's all about the coral reefs. You can also find lionfish. Look at them. They actually look like a lion. Aren't they funny? There are 1,500 species of fish and 400 species of coral that live in the Great Barrier Reef alone, only in that reef. Imagine, here's a picture of the Great Barrier Reef. Ooh, wow, that is a lot of different kind of fish, right? This is in Australia. Remember last week we were talking about these reefs that you could see in Australia, as well as the grasslands? Well, look at that. Now we're going to be talking about the plants you can see. Plants like the seagrass. Did you know you have grass underwater? Well, yes, you can find it in here by the coral reefs. You can also find seaweed. Be careful in there because you can get stuck if you're swimming around. You can also find algae. Yeah, that's a good place to find food. So these are a few things that you could have around. If you want to pause this video so you can write your main ideas, that is a very good idea for you. So coral reefs, they grow very, very slow, about 1 or 2 centimeters per year. Imagine. So some of them, they took like 30 million years to form. 30 million. How old are you? Not even your grandparents, right? Oh, way more than that. Some animals help each other to survive, like the clownfish and the anemones. Yes, they live together. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia, it is so big, it can be seen from outer space. If you go on a rocket ship to space, you will be able to see it. Some have turned white because they lost their algae when the water gets too salty or warm. That is why we need to be good with the environment and take care of it. We need to take care of our world so our waters doesn't get any warmer. Coral reefs are very important, not only for the oceans, but to ourselves. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoy learning about the coral reefs just as much as I did. And remember, when you finish with your notes in your notebook, go to your graph and add the information you had from this video. You will write the name of the habitat, what kind of weather is in that habitat, what kind of animals you can find in that habitat, what kind of plants grow in there, and add a nice picture or a sketch about how that habitat looks like. For now that you finish all of the habitats we've seen so far, take a picture of it and share it with your teacher. And now you have an extra activity here, okay? Now that you finish all of your graph with all of the habitats we've seen, you're gonna go ahead and choose your favorite one. Why is that your favorite one? What kind of animals you can see in there? Which habitat will you choose to live in? Record a video of 1 minute and share it with your teacher in Google Classroom. I can't wait to watch your videos. So have fun tonight, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.